I'm extremely excited about the possibilities of teaming up with some of the lead estate sale groups around town for a variety of reasons which we will discuss. So our time together is basically this today to learn from. So would you welcome with me, please, all the way from Springfield. It's in Illinois?
It's still in Illinois.
Springfield, Illinois, Envoy Jim Bracey.
Unfortunately, I have a 15-minute presentation, of which 10 of which is a video presentation that I stole. Okay? But I think it's important to show this 10 minutes first, and then my part's really quick. It's really quick. I'm excited to be here. I wouldn't have driven 3 hours and 20 minutes to come to Chicago for an estate sales symposium unless I thought it was important to the Salvation Army and for the folks that we work with, the partners that we work with. We have very few estate sales in Springfield. No one is leaving Springfield. They love it there. They're not moving. I think they're stuck there. So, you know, that's a fact. We don't have the same amount of estate sales in Springfield as is in Chicago. There's acres of diamonds. We don't have to look at the yoga shops and see if we can pick up some lead cards. We've got all the donations we need. And it takes partners like you guys. It takes partners like you to be able to put it together to serve the people that we've been tasked to serve. So I want to thank you. Thank you, Major, for inviting me.
We'll hear from you again soon. Jim, thank you very much. I want to introduce you to two members of your team that are here at the Salvation Army to serve you. Leonard and Michael, will you guys stand so we can just kind of identify you here? Generically, there we are. We call it special acquisitions.
Keep a business going. But I came, I met John, and I stayed. And the work that is done here, the stuff, by selling and giving them a vase to sell a second time, what it can do to help somebody who walks through those doors on Clybourne and needs help. Some of them are addicted. Some of them have personality disorders. Some of them just are homeless. But they need what these people do. And it's amazing to walk through the various stores that Demetrius sends my products to and go, I sent that piano. That's one of my dressers. That's some of the clothing we sent here. It goes all across the Chicagoland area. They need everything from a single t-shirt, a glass, a table, a chair. Everything can become something better and get somebody off the streets, give them a new life, a new job, a new purpose. You know, if you would have asked me when I was in high school, would I be running an estate sale company? I would have thought you would be nuts. I thought I was going to go become a lawyer. Then I worked in the film industry for 20 years, and now I've been doing this for 15 years. You never know where the wind is going to blow you, or what goods we're going to have that I'm going to send to Demetrius, and he's going to figure out with Simeon and Leonard on where it's going to go. You know, as estate sale providers, we see things and deal with things. We deal with people in grief. We deal with people who are downsizing, who are getting divorced, who generally have goods that they don't want, but those goods are still good, and they need to find a home. It's our job to help that. Because when you think about it, when you guys do your sales, how much of your sales, how often do you get to have 100% sellout? Not as often as we'd like. There's always stuff that's to be left over. And with that, you talk with Mike and Leonard and you go, I have a half truck today because we did really well. Or I have a full truck because we didn't do as well, or there was just so much in the house. I had a house in Glenview where we took 2 trucks. The thing that I've got to work on with you is to ensure that truck 1 and truck 2 end up together. Because sometimes parts are in different trucks. And we need all the chairs to go together, or all the parts of a workout system to go together, so we can sell it. Because if you only get part of a workout machine and another part goes to Mount Prospect, both parts are going to throw it out. And who benefits? But it's been an amazing ride.
And we'll come back to you on some of the basics to make that ride even smoother. Nadia is a very high-powered manager who's been with the company for over 20 years. And I love what she said about estate sales. She canned this phrase, and I think I'm going to keep it forever, a kitchen in a box.
If they don't get it, and if I send 16 glasses and only 9 make it, that's not a set. And it doesn't do anybody any good. Wrapping furniture, the dressers, getting stuff wrapped and packed into the trucks properly. I've seen the trucks you talked about, where it's just as much as, however you can get it in there, it gets in. That's sort of good because it gets it out of my house. But as a board member of the Salvation Army, it makes me very angry because I know that that $5,000 truck now is $2,000 because $3,000 is going to get thrown away, or it's going to get sold at such a value that the money's not to be made. So we have to do something to train our staff so we have a good truck driver who knows how to load his truck. He's got one guy that's always with him. So they both work as a team. That third guy can be constantly in training to learn how to pack and wrap. So when it gets to Nadia, it's not a box of broken. It's a box of treasures that become money that shows up on what Jim said of what we have potential. When I started in the business and I was tracking things and I started Ampersand, there were 7,000 companies in the US 5 years ago. There's over 10,000 companies in the US. It's growing exponentially. The problem is the estate sale people need to be educated, but we have to have a way of dealing with what we're selling both during the sales and then what happens to it afterwards. And if we can build a good team with Salvation Army, there's money on the table that you can turn into your kitchen in a box. You can turn into the stereo equipment room. Because we see everything from the kitchen items to clothing to jewelry to flatware, art. There's a full house to be picked up. But if it shows up to you and 70% of it's broken, that's where I get phone calls from John. Why are estate sales giving us nothing but broken stuff? My garbage bill is up. If we get it to get to whatever point it is and it gets there well, it can turn into money. If it gets there and it's broken, we have to cut bait on collecting from estate sales because it's not working. And that means that the drivers are just going to go do their routes and pick up a sofa here, 2 bags of clothes there, some china over there, and not get the full house that we can get. If there's 150 sales in a weekend, we shouldn't be picking up from 8. We should be at least getting a third of those. But to get a third of the estate sale market in the Chicago area, we need drivers, we need trucks, we need helpers. If they're not trained, sooner or later somebody's going to tell us, no, we can't come anymore. And our managers are going to tell us, no, I don't want the product anymore.
Exactly.
We have to do it efficiently and well, so the stuff that's picked up, wherever it is, and brought back is money, not garbage that we're now paying to get taken care of. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, garbage isn't free.
No, it's not.
truck, depending on how you do it, either it goes to distribution or it goes to a store and gets unpacked and somebody wants it. If we've transported it and nobody wants it, we've lost. And sooner or later, he will say we're done. And then kitchen in a box is gone.
Like me, I don't take steak trucks anymore just because of that.
But that's where we have to work with Simeon and Leonard and Mike to get our crews trained. Because then you're going to be happy with the trucks you get. Because it's going to be packed well. You're going to know that at the back of the truck is all the furniture. The front of the truck is all smalls and gaylords or bins. It comes off, it goes to where you want it to go through it, and then the furniture can come out.
Sharon, if I might, I think we might be into an area where we're going to make recommendations and solutions a little bit later.
Yes.
So maybe at this point, if you think you've covered that specifically.
I could talk all day.
Okay, Leonard, let's bring you up here, please. And let's talk a little bit about the coordination and the scheduling challenges and what do they need to know about your challenges.
Okay. Before I get into that, I just want to say that when we do an estate sale pickup, we are maximizing our efficiencies. We are filling up a truck faster, 3 to 4 hours. We get a full truck versus the standard route, which is 6 to 8 maybe to fill up a truck. So I just like to say that the maximization of our efficiencies is what we're doing when we do an estate pickup. Because of the rapid growth that Andor spoke about, it can become challenging trying to schedule. As Mike knows, and he does a fantastic job scheduling. But there's a lot of juggling that goes on through the week as far as getting an estate sale schedule for the course of a week. Because of the rapid growth, we are getting, I think this year so far, I've counted off at least 6 that have come on board for us to pick them up just because of the growth, just because of the natural growth. So scheduling can be kind of challenging at times. Sometimes we may have to cancel somebody because we want to make sure we get to the pickup that we prioritize, represented in this room. All right, so we may have to cancel some pickups. We may have to call someone and say, hey, we can't get to you tomorrow because this or that. Okay, so that's a challenge. And we do understand that in the pickups for an estate sale, these houses are closing, they're moving, they're already sold, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is a challenge. We want to be true to our word, but sometimes challenges come up and we have to cancel on them. So that's a big challenge. As far as time, we want to be there on time. For the most part, we have a 10 o'clock pickup and we have a 2 o'clock pickup. We're getting pretty good, Simeon, getting at 10 o'clock, period. Good. I have no complaints. But every now and then we'll catch a hiccup on that 2 o'clock because we may go to a house and we get a truck that's full and we got to go unload that truck, then come back, which has an effect on the 2 o'clock pickup. So it's a domino effect. Just the fact that we have more product, which is good, than we expected, and we have to come back and get the rest, which we'd like to get. We'd like to get all of it the same day rather than reschedule. Sometimes we have to schedule the second part, sometimes we don't, but we like to get all of it the same day, which causes a domino effect onto that second pickup. So that's a challenge getting on time there, especially for that second pickup, especially for the second pickup. We may go to a store and they don't have room to receive it. That may happen. That may happen and it affect the second part of the day for us. But there are challenges that we incur, and Mike does a fantastic job, by the way. I'll step in only if there's something that really needs, a decision really has to be made. I will step in and make the decision, but Mike does a pretty good job with the scheduling and letting the customers know what's really going on. And that's about all.
Me? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm listening. I was listening to Nadia. I was listening to Cheryl, and I agree. You said training about how to pack up the trucks. I totally agree with that. But one big thing that I have run into as an estate driver is, if the word exists, unpredictable. It's unpredictable. We don't know what we're going to encounter when we get to these estates. So we may pack our trucks with maybe 3 or 4 gaylords. We have the shrink wrap and everything. But I can say the very last estate that I did was nothing but brick. And I had about 4 gaylords on there when I probably should have had about 6 or 7. It was just nothing but brick. There was really no furniture. It was a very large house, but it was a lot of brick. And if there was a way,
Brick is hard goods for those people who might not.
okay, I'm sorry.
Or smalls.
Small.
I apologize. Maybe I should make it a little bit more clear. We're talking about books or not clothes, lamps, small stuff,
Knickknacks.
knickknacks, exactly. We have tubs that we may pack those things in. We have a lot of china, a lot of glasses. If there was any way, and I'm probably preaching to the choir on this one, if there's any way that we could get a view of somebody telling us, okay, what we're going to encounter, it can help us pack our trucks a little bit better. We won't have a whole lot of gaylords. Then we run into a problem where maybe we have a few gaylords expecting a lot of knickknacks, but instead we end up with a lot of furniture. Now we got to try to maneuver the truck to try to put gaylords to the side and pack up all this furniture. And then we will not run into the problem that Nadia runs into, stuff getting broken, maybe put out of place or whatever. Because the last thing we want to do is have anything be broken. The last thing we want to do is have anything lose its value while it's in our care. Because trust me, we'll catch the heat for it. But if there's any way that we can know what we're dealing with when we go to an estate, if there was some way we can, okay, we got these many knickknacks, we're going to have this. Because, I mean, one thing that me and Mr. Spicer's had a conversation on is having certain things ready for an estate. But you do run into some things that are unpredictable.
Well, you never know, because there's 4 of us in the room right now. We don't know what every sale is going to be. They're not consistent. And by the time we finish on Saturday, we'll have some idea of what's left. I think what your idea is, and I like the idea, is we need to communicate with these 2 gentlemen what we have left. Are we a furniture pickup? Are we predominantly china pickup? Are we knickknacks? Are we books? What is it that we're going to throw at you? So you as the driver can bring the right accessories with you.
And say if the sale is over on a Saturday and the pickup is until Thursday, what kind of stuff has the relatives passed out? What kind of stuff has the neighbors come and picked up?
Exactly.
I mean,
How
because
does it change?
the longer it takes from the sale,
Absolutely.
it changes dramatically.
Is there any reason why we couldn't do it a day before a call to give you a heads up what it is that we think we're going to be putting
So he
in?
would love that.
Generally, what I do with Mike is we trade
It would help
texts
us out.
on scheduling, and if I know that I need a second truck, or if there's something odd, do I have a pool table? Do I have a piano? Will they take either one of those items? And generally with a piano, I have to then work with them to get a piano mover to come pick it up and take it to whatever store Demetrius says, we want the piano to go to you in Lincoln Park, or it's going to Glenview, wherever it's going. But it's all of us communicating better to make the drivers show up properly with whatever they need to do the job on that day. And yes, it does change depending on when we finish our sale and when the pickup day occurs.
One thing I want to say before I sit down, you pointed out something very important. As far as training, as far as how to pack a truck, I think that's very important. And then it'll go back to you, Nadia. We won't have anything broken. Because, again, with it being predicted of what we're going to get, we'll know how to train, we'll know how to pack it, we'll know how to put it in, because we do have gateways instead of having everything all over the truck.
So my question for you, you're driving the truck in the swing shift, if you're doing buses on the other end. Your helpers, how consistent are your helpers on a daily or weekly basis?
Well, because I have been there very consistent.
No, but do you have the same 2
Oh,
all the
no.
time?
No, I don't.
my belief is you need a wingman that's always with you. Because that way there's two people who know how that truck needs to be packed. Instead of, you have two guys that you're training today, and then Tuesday, you have two guys you're training today, Wednesday, you have two guys you're
Stick
training.
with, you know, what.
Having one guy come in and working with an established crew, you guys will work more efficiently, you will get in and out of sales, and you will pack and deliver to Nadia the stuff that she wants that will make it intact. Because you will become like a well-oiled machine. And then we need Nate 2, Nate 3, and if we're going to go up to 50 of the 150 companies doing a sale on a weekend, we need another 7 of you. Because
And again, that's part of the reason we're having these conversations together. Can we justify that? Can we establish these priorities? Very good. Anything else, Nate? Very well said, spoken, and thank you very, very much for your time. You want to?
Well, I want to thank Nate for coming up. He kind of really touched down on the biggest issue that I have. If I know what's going on, what's there, it helps our job and my job forward 100%. If I know that it's going to take just only one truck, in opposed to that truck getting full, and I'm knowing when that truck is full, oh, we're going to need a whole nother truck. But I do know things change, and this part of the house that you was saving for some reason now changed, and you said, okay, take it as well. But we need to know in a timely manner. That helps us. What am I going to do to help fix the situation? One of the things that I'm doing right now, I'm actually checking you guys' trucks as they coming in. I'm actually helping them preload the trucks as they going out. Sure, you should already see a difference in the drivers, because I've been working on them.
that's good.
In the drivers and this helpers that's coming out. I have a couple of helpers that I do send out with the drivers every day towards things. Yeah, it changes. The drivers call off, and I have to replace them or whatever the case may be. That's another one of the jobs. I try my best to keep a team for estates. And like I say, I would like to think again that it's getting a little better. From what I see, it's getting a little better. I'm starting to see trucks come in with stuff not broken. Because the opportunity is now, a lot of stores, the trucks are not going to a lot of stores, it's coming directly to me. I'm actually can see it. I'm actually going out, Lord knows as well. I haven't met anybody yet out in the field. A lot of the states I get to, you guys are not there. I don't know, there's either a representative there or, but I have been getting out going to them to watch and see what these guys are going through. Where I can kind of see what I need to build on with them. And I'm going to constantly keep building. I know we want to do business as far as with the states and everything. I want it to grow as well as everyone else. If the states take over my routes, I'm fine with that. But we do want to make sure that we get everything that's going to take over. And the state doesn't take over the Lincoln Park area of my route truck. And the state doesn't take over my St. Charles area. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, in the end, we got to build the teams where you have drivers to do routes, drivers to do estate sales. Until we get to that point, you're having to move parts around.
Yes, I am moving parts around. That's how we started, and that's where we're at today.
Yeah.
And again, that's why we're having this kind of what are we gonna fix as far as coming together and making this work.
As the administrator, just let me say that what's been spoken of here may, from a certain perspective, represent cost. I got no problem with cost. I got no problem spending a dime to make a dollar. But we have to make intelligent decisions before we can do things like appoint 4 drivers with 4 helpers to service the estates. So we we kind of need a little bit of back and forth here. We need to know that you're on board and what you can say and so on and so forth, but let's start it off with some questions to the panel here, shall we?
We actually usually pack up our estates because the clientele can be loaded if you've got, you know, that you have room for X number of tubs. But that would be a really easy way to solve, I think, some of that problem, even if your own guys are packing into them. But from our perspective, to not have the expense at least of boxes that we know are going to be thrown away at the end, that would be phenomenal.
Well, in a pre-box situation, we can actually come up with something where we can actually stop using gaylords and go straight pallets for pre-box. The issue is that sometimes we don't know that. That'll help us. So if concierge, and Simeon is willing to give out his number, if concierge want to contact Simeon and let him know that those are pre-box items, he can keep the gaylord out and put it in a box. I mean, put it on pallets and shrink wrap the pallet with the boxes on it, which also helps with a better care.
What she's asking for is if tubs, because you guys come out with tubs.
No, she's pre-box, so she don't.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
Most
is,
of it is, if you go to tubs,
if I
we
have,
save the economy and we save the environment, because the tubs come to you, and then the next time she has a sale, you guys drop off the set of
Yeah,
tubs so
but-
she can pack again.
Yeah, now that's an issue.
rotating, I mean, all of my clients, the first thing that I tell them when I go under contract is the remainders that should not be dumpstered are going to go to Salvation Army. That is part of how we handle this. I talk with them about your mission, how the fact that you're using the people that are staffing these crews are your actual clients, that it's mutually beneficial because they're doing something good. So we know right from the get-go that it's going to be you that picks everything up. If we could round robin and something so that it's not like this perpetual use of boxes, that would be phenomenal.
And the other thing is to continue in that vein is if you look behind you, John's put up the clamshell totes.
Yep.
They're called round trip totes. Maybe we could just adopt that language, round trip
Because
totes.
with those totes, and then it's whether or not we can get something that we can either put stemware into so it's compartmentalized, where it's a repeated use piece instead of use it and it's gone.
So
And
I'm
same with
gonna
China packers.
be like the guy, make somebody like this, everybody and everybody, I can see how y'all go, but I have to speak from
Yeah.
my aspect. 300X of 4 trucks of that is extremely expensive on us if we don't get them all back. So that's just exactly where my mind went when I saw it. I'm not against it, but I would need a heads up and a way to make sure that I can get those totes back because I can't do that
Okay.
individually for every single estate.
No, what would happen, say, with me, you pick up on Tuesdays from me. Say on Saturdays, your drivers are going out to whatever Saturday pickups you have. They drive by where I am. This weekend I'm in Skokie. They drop off a stack of 20 totes that we can start filling however it is, either with China or whatever, and if bubble wrap comes and that's how we're going to protect China and stemware, so be it. And then when you pick up from me on Tuesday, if I had 20 totes from you dropped off on Saturday, I have to give you 20 totes back. If I don't give you 20 totes back, that means I'm buying 2 totes. And that's the way it's got to be. Because if you're going to give me 20 totes,
Where all those totes go anyway.
One of the things that's gonna happen with those
It would
totes,
be $44 each.
because it's like my stinking shopping baskets. They rip off. I've lost more shopping baskets than I own now. I
Well,
think
what
I
if-
bought 60 shopping baskets and I had 19.
one of the things that's gonna happen with those totes here, we're gonna drop you off 20.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick up 20 from you.
Um,
We're gonna drop 20 off at the store. Okay, now we got the issue of retrieving them back.
Now, let's not bog ourselves down in things that are never gonna work. We can rise to that occasion. We can talk about inventories. We can bring if our managers want stuff to sell, they need to participate. We can accomplish these
Because
things.
the managers, when you drop off, say, out of the 20 totes I have, Nate, who's my driver, goes, Cheryl sent us 15 totes that are full, we're taking the 5 totes that were in the back of us. So Nadia signs off that she's got 15 totes that she's going to empty when her crew has time. Once her crew's done, and you come and you drop off another load, she gives you back those 15, and you've given her another 20.
Nadia, you're gonna talk about something other than totes?
Yes.
Good, talk about something other than
You
totes.
know, because sometimes I do empty gaylord myself. If the gaylords stack properly,
Yeah.
you don't need any of that. All you need, because you know,
But
when
what-
I get into a gaylord and I see those bric-a-brac or something, just like she said, thrown in the gaylord, that's where the problem comes.
So
But
what-
when it's a stack,
What are you
I
saying?
don't have
Are
any
they
of
putting boxes in the gaylords? Are they putting tubs in the gaylords?
Okay.
What's going in the gaylords that
Can I just-
makes
can I
you
just-
happy?
Can I just do a point of order? You're absolutely correct on this subject. This is the largest center I've ever seen. It's a trait in the Central Territory that we do not use totes. Every other territory in the United States uses totes. They do their whole brick part with totes. Totes like, just like that. We don't do it because it kind of restricts it, it's kind of more labor intensive. But if we want to upgrade our product, if we want to do all this, totes it is. Let's move on to another subject.
But totes make sense for a lot of what Simeon and Nate pick up.
You're absolutely right.
Gaylords also make sense
To
for
put
certain
totes in.
things, because no, not so much with the totes in, but you could put clothing into the totes, or into the gaylords, throw pillows, the more
Right.
soft goods.
Right.
In the interim, I think what would help is just some guidelines on how you want stuff ready to go.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You know, whether you want it in a box, all in boxes, so you can just grab the box and shrink wrap it, that's fine. From my client's perspective, they just want to know that their stuff is being respected and it's actually going to go for value.
Oh, amen. Thank you for
And
that.
so, in that situation, what you're saying, that's a perfect storm for us. But we would need to know that.
Right.
That's not the case all the time. There's been times where we'll go to an estate, not speaking of any of you guys, but there are times we'll go to the estate sale company not there. There's somebody who sits there and watch my guys load it, and it's a whole house, like literally close to the
Can I
dresser.
just pause for just a second before we defend ourselves? She said a line that is absolutely pregnant,
Yes.
okay? And we just need to pause there for just a second. Her clients want to know that their product has been respected.
And maybe
That's the
to-
number one offense that we have in all of our acquisition, all of our procurements. Quick story, can't help it, I'm a preacher, I'm sorry. Grand Rapids, Michigan, home of the Dutch Reformed Church. Oh boy, home of the DeVos and so on and so forth, all those rich people too. Lady came up to the back of the store on a Sunday on her way to Calvary Baptist Church right across the street. She had blue hair and 5 suits. The guy who met her at the back door says, "Ma'am, we don't take hangers." She said, "Well, these 5 suits have just been dry cleaned." "We don't take hangers, ma'am." "Well, is there somebody that could give you the things?" So he takes the 5 suits, rips the hangers out of them, throws the suits into a Gaylord box. I get a call about Tuesday morning from the DeVos organization. We will no longer be supporting the Salvation Army as a result of what our mother went through at the back door while trying to donate her husband's suits. He died last month. She gave the last of it to the Salvation Army. She was verbally abused. I got on the phone with the DC and said, "Man, we got a big problem." And so those kinds of things need to be at the forefront of our thinking, and I'm sure you can think of that when you do these. When you mentioned death, you mentioned divorce, you mentioned grief. We have to be at the forefront of our thinking with the industry that we all share together. There's a lot of grief, there's a lot of sorrow, there's a lot of pain in some of the people that we're dealing with. Thank you for mentioning the fact that these things need to be respected, even if that couch that grandma died on is in horrible condition. Somehow, we need to take them down easy. Thank you for that reminder. All right, back on with the defense.
The one problem that you said there is we pack stuff up, and then when you guys pick it up, because for a while we used to put all the clothes in giant trash bags. We'd watch the clothes go out of the house, go to the Gaylord, they'd rip the bag up, dump them all in. It's like, why did we put them in?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Please,
And if you pack it all up and it's all wrapped in cardboard boxes, to have the cardboard boxes ripped open and everything dumped into a Gaylord, it's not, there's not a mutual respect between the two working
We
parties.
shouldn't be saying stuff like that.
Certainly an issue of training.
Stuff like that shouldn't be happening.
One thing I want to say is, the issues that we're bringing up can be fixed with communication. What the driver should expect when we get there, if we communicate a little bit closer, we can put on a ticket. You're gonna have mostly brick or mostly small. You're gonna have a half a truck of furniture. You're gonna have this, you're gonna have that. So communication between myself and Mike, and we put notes on tickets all the time. That's how we communicate.
But right at that point there, Leonard, if what is your name?
Nora.
Nora, and you're Gail? Patrick? Michelle, of course. Nora, one of the things that, when Nora said that the first time, I'm wondering if she's out there on a Saturday afternoon and Simeon's about to dispatch the truck, does the call need to go to you and Mike? Are you always available at that time?
I'm always
Or should it go
available. Mike's
directly to
there.
dispatch?
Yeah.
I'm 24/7.
Okay, and so
Or an email.
you're available to get into the middle of that. And because if it was email, you could copy Simeon and the dispatch department would know like that as well. Whereas there's a middle relay here, and I'm not quite sure that that's necessary at the point of, at that particular point in the process.
Well, Mike displays all that on DSS. So anything she says something shows in DSS.
So it's okay for you guys to be in the middle of that process.
Yes.
And it's just efficiently and effectively. Okay,
I
great.
mean, part of what we're not discussing, and I was just talking to Nora about this, is this is like just happened, it's just for the nature of this discussion as a state, so that's what we're focusing on. But there's another part of this that gets kind of lumped into all of this, which is the special acquisitions,
yeah.
which is the exact same thing, except not through an estate sale company. It's just mom and dad died, they want to donate their whole house, and so those tickets go in with the estates as well. Now, we do try to give priority to the estate companies, but they're part of the acquisition pipeline as well. And so some of these issues with the trucks, with the quality, I do a lot more screening on special acquisition pickups, but they can often, things what we've been discussing in this meeting, I can already tell are not really, they're
not
kind of both, yeah. So it's, I mean, we're trying to do everything we can to give priority to the estate sale companies, but the other people that are also donating their whole house full of stuff who grandma died, they're a part of this as well.
And those products haven't been sorted by professionals like they have been with the state sale companies. So you can assume 99% of the time, if there's an estate sale company involved, the product is in sellable condition.
Yeah.
Whether it's mom and dad or brother and sister coordinating the move, there's a good chance there's a lot of garbage in there.
Yeah, we assume that the estate sale quality is always much higher than the special acquisition quality, but there's a part of logistics and getting to the 2 o'clock and having things packed, having people send in photos, communicating. We are trying to do all of that type of stuff on both estate sale company pickups and special acquisition pickups.
Right.
And let me just add a little bit of flavor with my point of authority here. What Michael's talking about is there are a lot of people out there with big last names and bank accounts too, who have been given to the Salvation Army forever, and they're basically not going to call you for your purposes. They're going to call the Salvation Army direct, and we need to care for some of those based on our relationship with the division. Those are the same people who write the $500,000 checks on an annual basis, and so we have an obligation, if nothing else, to get out there and do that. Very good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
And when we put notes on tickets, if a specific estate company will say text message or email or phone call, hey, there's a lot of brick in this or a lot of glassware, to bring extra bins. There's all types of little notes that we put on tickets to help
This
communicate.
is a schedule here, and what's on here is one of the things that Mike was talking about. Here's one here that says, bring plastic token bins. Well, that's only on one. The rest of them, we gotta guess at.
Do we really? I mean, how unique, Gail, Nora, Cheryl, how unique can your load really be? I mean, Gail, okay, Nora, I think has a different opinion.
It depends on, it's entirely depending on the sale. Because I may have taken a house that is really heavy on stuff, but the family has kept all of the furniture because it's sentimental. I may have a $2 million house in St. Charles where the furniture weighs like a tank and is 8 feet tall, but there weren't that many small things because everybody bought it all.
Good distinctions, yeah.
And it differs also with the companies. You'll see that there are some companies who only handle the Gold Coast area, and there are some who handle the hoarders. There are some companies who love all those digger sales, you know? And if you've got one of those companies, you know you're going to have a bunch of stuff.
My sale that you're going to pick up next week is a digger sale. It is packed to the gills.
Now, let me ask a question. Of the sales that we're picking up, that we know of, how much is it that's actually, that we know not going to sell at our stores?
You have no idea.
Don't know about that.
What's the weather going to be?
Thank you.
Is there the stock market taking a hit? Did Trump say something that pissed off everybody and everybody's at home stewing?
Are the police writing tickets?
Are you at the Gold Coast in an elevator building?
Yeah.
Are you in St. Charles? Everything can affect a sale. How many sales are there? Right now, we're in peak sales mode. It's somewhere between 130 and 175 sales a weekend. We're all fighting for the same customer base. And they're looking at the
that you know that's going to sell?
They don't.
You don't know?
They don't know.
Some weekends I go, I'm never going to sell this piano, and the piano sells. Other weekends I go, this sofa's going to sell because it's leather and it's Chesterfield, and it doesn't sell.
I think what you're saying is there's stuff there that you know isn't quality, it won't sell, and
Still,
you're going to expect me to come get it. That's
none of these companies are that comfortable.
Because even with the hoarder sale I have, there is vintage toys and stuff that's in there. She had gotten in a car wreck and was eating all of her meals on paper plates and plastic utensils for the last 5 years. There's enough of that stuff to eat for 2 years. Still new in its packaging. There's 35 things of common. Never opened. I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just going, I can't tell you what's going to sell today, let alone what's going to sell in 2 weeks, because each sale is so intrinsically different. And that's why talking to Mike and Leonard from all of us needs to happen, I think, a little more, saying, this is a brick sale. This is and if it's a digger sale, letting you know.
Even if we did an email or a call-in or a text the night before, or set your deadline, but by the day before, we're packed up, we know what we're going to be giving you. We're happy to communicate.
He asked the question, so I just want to make sure you know. None of these companies are the ones that you. There's not one of. There's not none. It's not Ampersand, Concierge, Patrick, and what's your other company? I know it.
Formerly Treasure Stuff.
Keep my
Could you all leave a business card with us before you go?
Yeah.
But the better communication all the way around is going to improve everything. So us talking to you guys talking to us and saying, I don't have bins this week. And then us seeing what do we have to help you work. And it's knowing and getting consistency from the drivers on how they're going to deal with what we're giving them. Because the problem is it's a different driver most times, and each driver packs their truck differently. They will break open a box and dump it into a gateway, or they will do that, or they'll take.
Well,
That should
or a few weeks ago where they left half of it because they were tired. And we were trying to figure out, but it was my staff that was there. I didn't know until it was too late.
I was saying
And so
that's
we're trying to figure out.
I can fix that one.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out on the fly what to do. Like we had an armoire, they said, well, it's too tall. Like, it's an armoire, it's a storage armoire, it's a really nice piece.
I will say, in a perfect world, I would be at every pickup. But geographically speaking, it's impossible. All right, Batavia to wherever, you know, it's just impossible. Now, I have been to you guys pickups, but if you have a problem, all right, please do not hesitate to let me know.
Y'all all have a number, right?
Please do not hesitate to let me know. Just let me know if there's a problem. You guys have communicated with me, but let's get better with communicating.
While there is a problem, not
Yeah.
after the truck is driven off.
Just like if you have 20 boxes that are already boxed up, say, hey, I've got 20 boxes, so we'll come prepared with the pallet and some shrink wrap, so we'll just load them on the pallet and shrink wrap it and we'll get it out of there. So we will take care of these people's donation like we care, and that they care about, okay?
And if a driver's showing fatigue at the site, or to the point where you feel like he's about to leave, don't let that driver leave. Please call him. Please call him. Trust me, he can fix it. He can fix it. He can. You do a really good job at that.
And we've had it where you tag team out, a different truck comes by and I get a change of crew.
Yeah.
Where the driver and the two helpers will go in the either full truck or empty truck.
Right.
And come and there'll be fresh hands and eyes to deal with.
Right, Sometimes I can do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Depends what's going on.
Yeah, it's other.
Sometimes I can have an empty truck out there and leave the same crew there. It depends on the operations of that I got going on that day. But I do accommodate.
But in the end, everybody in this room wants the same thing. We want success.
Yeah.
We want stuff that's being picked up to make it to Nadia so it can be open and used and not go to trash where the major gets mad at all of us.
Right.
We all on the same page.
And it'll come together.
Okay,
We'll
so-
figure out the tools necessary.
Robert?
So one thing that I've learned from today's meeting, which I've already known from working in the call center, is that communication is key, vital to what it is, what we do. Something that I was thinking about, maybe there could be an email, and you would have a copy of this all the time. Whenever you found out what your totals were, you could put what that is on the box, whether it be like on the list, whether it be small pieces of furniture, an end table, a nightstand, or a stool, versus a large piece of furniture, like an armoire, a dresser, and what have you. And then how many bags or boxes, whether they're pre-boxed or bag. Well, how many, and then on the second side of this, is how many bins do you think we will need to bring? Shrink wrap, bubble wrap, whatever it is, pallets. So yes, communication is key.
Wonderful. I do think that we're long overdue on the totes thing. I think we will take action on that. We do have some additional challenges to work out in regards to how that rotation will work, how the inventory will work, but those are things that we can solve. And so we will be investing in totes, probably a larger size for brick. We're behind on that. We do want to care for you. The other thing we want to emphasize to you again is that what my intention is to put your business on a much higher priority. I would like to say Gold Coast routes, call Salvation Army donors, you know, those big people who are on our list, and estate sales comes in next. And then all the other ideas that we're flooded with in regards to what we should be doing in our spare time, you know, we can quite easily then defend ourselves and our time and our drivers from doing that. Our drivers should be fresh. Our drivers should be ready to go. Our drivers should be training. Our drivers should be committed. But we really need your participation to make that happen to you. To better serve you, you need to, I like the idea of helping the drivers. I like the idea of packaging these totes. I like the idea of being prepared to get our trucks in and get our trucks out of your locations, just like we talked to our managers about it. I think we've got a really good start here. Is there anybody that has a burning comment that they'd like to say before we break company?
The one thing I was going to say is I was trying to think about how I even got started with you guys, you know, and I was using somebody else, and it was a kind of, what Cheryl kind of said, it was a hit and miss here or there. And I got an email. And I called you guys. We did a pickup. It was great. And then just, Lenard showed up at a couple of pickups. And I was at an estate sale of one of my, I don't want to say competitors, but yeah, but also a friend. And you showed up and solicited them. And, the relationship was key, I think. But I was thinking, you talk about growing and getting more. I think that email was probably a big aha, because there's probably, just like me at the time, a lot of people doing this that don't have a resource for that second phase. And that was my that email made a big difference. So,
Thanks for saying.
you may want to think about popping one out again.
Yeah, and I think that's good. Make sure that we get your card as well, and I will send you a summary of our discussion, some notes with all the contact information, all the phone numbers, and please help us help you be successful. You might just want to put this in. I don't know how to present this or where to present it, but in my mind, one of our biggest competitors is 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We have a number of people who could care less about helping us redeem, restore, and recover lives. They just want to get that out of their apartment, or the trailer that they're renting out. And so if you listen to the ads, it's like dart after dart. We'll be there in 90 minutes. We'll be there on weekends and evenings.
Till midnight.
Yeah. All you do is point and it's gone. Where the Salvation Army will say, "I'm sorry, we don't take that." So bridging from that to the last subject is there are basically three things we don't take. Things that are harmful to the environment, things that are harmful to people, that's the CPSC. I would stretch it for you because the Consumer Protective Safety Commission will not allow us to sell a vintage lunchbox with enamel paint and solder seams on it. But we'll take it. Things that are harmful to the environment, things that are harmful to people, and things that we just can't sell. Junk, garbage. So you guys don't deal in garbage, and so we may want to talk about that. And if you're dealing with a lower demographic, maybe we need to talk about a roll-off being available or whatever. But has this been helpful?
You have a couple other things you're not taking anymore.
Okay.
Mattresses,
Right.
assisted living items, any.
You never took those.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. And also now you're not taking any cribs, strollers, car seats, any of that.
Well, here's what I could tell you about the assisted stuff is that we can make a deal with you to take it if it's aluminum, because we can redeem that. The deal is with all the insurance companies, all the medical things. We sell medical equipment. You're in deep doo. Where'd you get that? Salvation Army. That baby store climbed up on a kid, whoa, et cetera, et cetera.
And the comment about the mattresses, we do accept mattresses at some of our store locations, we just don't pick them up anymore.
Yeah, and then again, with you folks, that's negotiable.
Yeah.
We can make, but if it's got a stain on it, or if it's got the stain around the seam where the bed bugs are coming in and out, no deal.
Entertainment centers are unsafe. It's a common thing. Open model boxes and televisions. I mean, there are scenarios where most of the stuff at the estate sale companies and the other ones are good, but they do involve you get some things that.
So we have to protect ourselves from the guy who's evicting somebody from the trailer. Okay, let's put it in extreme terms. We have to protect ourselves from being their trash agency. We're dealing with a whole different level with you, and that's why we're having a conversation. We can talk differently to you.
Well, can I add one other thing in all of your free time? If something's being rejected, I would even pay your guys or pay Salvation Army just to get it out of the house into the curb and deal with it from there.
Cheryl brought that up earlier.
Charge a fee so I don't have to bring my movers in because your guys are already there. Seriously.
Would you agree with that statement, Patrick? Would you pay for junk removal?
Junk.